Matthew, when called by Jesus, leaves everything, and there's something to be said because the Bible says that Matthew was in his job. He was doing his occupation. He was greedy and he was stealing, but there was something on the inside of him that drew Jesus to him, that maybe in his Sabbath day worship, maybe in his Friday night prayer time, he was like, God, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to hang like this no more. I'm tired of being looked upon as an unaccepted, dejected reject. I'm tired of being in the position of stealing and lying and being on the side of the enemy. I just believe that Jesus knew his inner heart. And when he came to Levi, now known as Matthew, he comes to him and says, follow me. Matthew steps from the table of his exchange and transactions and says, I've been waiting for a moment like this. I will leave all of my money and all of my wealth and all of my notoriety to find my purpose. Do I got anybody here today that God is calling you to leave something? To leave and go with Jesus means guaranteed unemployment. You see, what's different than Matthew versus Peter, James, and John is they were fishermen. They could go back to their occupations of fishing. When Matthew made the decision to follow Jesus, he gave up everything. He knew there was no turning back, which is why he writes the Gospel of Matthew with a certain bent and a certain purview. He wants you to understand this is the gospel of no turning back. This is the gospel where Jesus accepts the rejected, where Jesus accepts the outcast, the forgotten, the overlooked, those that were dirty and grimy. This is the gospel of acceptance. You know why he writes with such a powerful bent? Because he writes to the Jewish audience, the pious Jew who thought they had everything together because we were the sons of Abraham. We know who Abraham is. He writes to them to say, hey, don't get caught up on where you came from. You best to understand that this man called Jesus is bringing folk into the fold who were once dejected and rejected. Now they're being called to the forefront because why? That's just the way God is. He will take those folk who've been looked over, looked down on, those folk that's been dejected, isolated, fragmented, and all of the stuff that causes society to look down on you. He says, you're the one. You're the one. You're the one I'm calling to the stage. The Bible makes it very clear that Matthew gets something from Jesus. He gets new life. He gets acceptance. For the first time in his life, he's accepted. You got to get this before we go to the story. For the first time in Matthew's life, the writer of the Gospel of Matthew, he is accepted. How do you